What's your favorite biblical film? This grandma will be burned into my face for eons. I will never forget seeing this for the first time in theaters. It's day 90 of 365, today's movie, Legion. Directed by Scott Stewart and starring Paul Bettany, Lucas Black, and Dennis Quaid, who's back from the Pandorum episode. Don't worry, this time he's a good guy. This movie toes a hard line to toe. Aliens is one of the few movies like it in that it's an action movie and a horror movie. It's doing double time, and so it's difficult to pull this off. This is one of the few movies that, despite its plot being a little wonky, it pulls off its subject matter excellently. When the trailer came out, I thought it was going to be like The Matrix, but with biblical stuff, a horror movie Matrix maybe. I wasn't sure what to make of it, and seeing it in theaters, I was kind of blown away by the gnostic take of what this movie was trying to do. It's not biblical stuff exactly, it's kind of inverting everything as we know it. I've revisited this one a few times, including on the Film Rescue Show, but instead of talking about the things that I think that it doesn't do well, I'd rather discuss the things that I think it does extremely well. So let's talk about my 3 favorite things about Legion. The first thing that I love so much about this movie is its Gnostic read on the world. This is something you won't see in big blockbusters very often, if at all. This is a really unique movie to try to get through. It could be upsetting to many Christians because it's taking a view of the world that says that evil can be in heaven and can be sent to earth in a way that presents as evil to us. That's a backwards read on our view of angels, our view of demons and what they can be. This movie's saying it's all spiritual, and so it can present in many, many different ways. At the time, people didn't think much of it. This actually kind of flew mostly under the radar, even though it did eventually get a television series with 2 seasons. But I think that this is so unique. I've never seen anything else like it. I would honestly like to see more movies in this vein where we can see a version of heaven that is warlike or see a version of hell that is brought directly to earth. I grew up in a church, so I understood much of what this movie was aiming for. The kind of story that it was trying to tell was very sacrilegious. But that's not odd for a horror movie either. Many horror movies err into the area of sacrilege. So this making it front-facing and then filling it with action was the kind of stuff that was honestly really interesting to me as a teenager. Honestly, I'm shocked we didn't get a version of God or the Metatron, something to show us what an actual deity might look like in this world. And maybe we would have if we would have got the sequels to this movie that it was setting up. The end of this film honestly feels like the beginning of a trilogy, and I've not watched the TV show to see where it could have gone from here, but if in the movie we would have got something like that, it may have done more to upset Christians. Who knows? Like I said at the top, this is a tough genre line to walk. Action and horror don't normally go well together. And the reason for that is action puts people into a more protagonistic, forward-facing role. They're taking action within the plot. Outside of the violence that they're committing, there's also a forward push to it that keeps people out of a state of fear. Horror is in the opposite direction. Horror puts you into a subjugated place where you're afraid to move. The more locked into place you are, the easier it is for the monster to come and get you. Mixing those two mindsets ends up being a tough tightrope walk, but this movie's able to do it somehow, and I think it does it by giving us a range of characters. Not everyone in this is an action star. Sure, we have Paul Bettany's character showing up, gun-toting and ready to take anyone down, and so the biggest fears that he could have would be another angel. But the rest of the characters in this film are just human, and while many of them can brandish a gun or a frying pan, many times they're in a state of fear, and that's what this movie does so well. It gives us enough characters that we can play back and forth between these different kinds of scenes. And on top of that, it helps us enjoy these characters by making them not one-dimensional. Everyone has a reason for being here. Everyone has a want or a need within the plot. And as we see them pulled away from that want or need, as we see them put into a place where their lives are threatened or even extinguished, we see that the horror here is real. Everyone could possibly die, including Paul Bettany. His character is almost taken out at certain points. So we know where the stakes are. Everything is taken to a degree where no matter how violent the action can get, we're not put in a place where we feel that these characters could just survive based off of John Wick's skills alone. The third thing that I love so much about Legion is one scene in particular, and it is the scene where a very elderly grandma turns into the most demonic wall crawler we have ever seen in cinema. It was in the trailer. It was the standout scene in theaters. We had people screaming in their seats when it happened. I think there's something about juxtaposing an elderly person who normally speaks very clean with no cuss words, going into lots of cussing and swearing and saying nasty things that just really, really works. This is totally correct for the movie too. Remember, we talked about the sacrilegious stuff in the first point. This is a very sacrilegious scene. This one's always going to stick with me just for the impact of it. It's so shocking to see her teeth transform, her eyes go black. This is the Bilbo Baggins scene from Fellowship of the Ring on crack. He is frightening in that one. She is nightmare fuel here. This is the kind of filmmaking that I really live for. A whole movie being awesome is great, but a single moment standing out against all other movies, that's real achievement in filmmaking, in my opinion. I would love to have one of these under my belt. But what do you think? Are you a fan of Legion, or do you opt for this one just being a little too weird to get into? I would understand people that fall into that camp. We ended up not liking it a lot on the podcast, but I still have a lot of good feelings about this movie, even here in 2025. Our next one on the list is at least a better John Travolta movie than we just talked about. We're talking about From Paris with Love, and I'll see you tomorrow.